After living, working, and traveling in more than 100 different countries, there's one question that seems to come up time and time again. It's a question that Forbes also asked me recently, and I wrote an article for them to explain my process on where to go and how I actually figure out what are the best places to live. And so in this video, I'm going to break down my exclusive framework on how you can decide. And it's what I call the nomad framework to figure out where's the best place for you to live in the world that's going to check the most boxes. It'll give you a lot to think about. I'll also talk about some of the most beginner friendly locations where I personally am right now after moving from Thailand, and a few other essential things along the way on how you should go about thinking about where is the best place in the world where you're going to have the best life possible. Now, the N in the Nomad framework stands for network and community, one of the most important aspects. And again, this list is in no order, so you might prioritize this at the very bottom if you're more of an introvert. But if you're extroverted, you have a business to run, and you're interested in meeting long term sustainable friendships, the N might be a little bit higher. And that's one of the reasons that we've relocated from a tropical island in Thailand to a city in Europe, which I'll explain a little bit more about that process. So, a lot of people, when they're just getting started, they're focused on where can I go for the cheapest amount. They just look at a situation or a city or a country as if it's cheap, it's good. But that's not always the case. The people who've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, they build a network and community. And so that's always going to be a blended approach. Sometimes, and for my own personal experience, it's 50% of the time I'm hanging out with locals, 50% of the time I'm hanging out with other expats. In some other countries, it shifts. And in general, in different chapters of my life, that priority changes. And in general, you need to figure out a situation and structure that's going to work best for you. But in general, if a country doesn't have an easy entry point to stay long term, you're likely going to be relying mostly on locals because the expat path is a little bit more difficult. That's not always the case, but in general, you're going to find some certain expat hubs and communities around the world, and a few that come to mind is Chiang Mai, Thailand. Chiang Mai, Thailand is a 10 out of 10 in this because there is literally something going on every single day there from other expats. But if you're looking to integrate more with having local Thai friends, likely that's not going to come too much unless you're into the dating scene there. Outside of the dating scene, there's not going to be so much interaction from the locals like in other countries. Again, this is just my experience. Of course, you can have Thai friends. I'm not saying that. Just in general, from my experience, from everyone I know who's lived in Thailand, it's just kind of the way it is with their culture. And so, in general, when you're considering a certain location, for example, Chiang Mai is a really good networking place for digital nomad people who are expats, and it's a 10 out of 10 for that. But it's probably a 2 out of 10 if you're looking to integrate with locals or become friends with local Thai people. It might be a little bit more difficult. There's other countries where it's probably a little bit easier. For example, if you're moving to somewhere in Europe, likely you're going to have a combination of expat friends, local friends, and a combination of everything in between. And it's just going to be a little bit more natural, ingrained into the culture. But each country, it's really going to vary. Each city, it's going to vary. And each age group, if you're moving abroad with a family and you're 50 or something, it might be a little bit harder to integrate and build up your social network. So the networking and community aspect is really important. It's high on my list, especially for this next chapter, because I'm building businesses. I want to be able to hang out with other entrepreneurs. I also love hanging out with other local people, and especially now where I'm based in the Czech Republic, it checks a lot of boxes for me, pun intended. Now, moving on to the next, the O in Nomad is opportunities for geo arbitrage. And this is a very important one. And what I mentioned earlier was a lot of people's getting started, they just want to go to the cheapest location, which isn't really the right mentality. You want to go to the place where it's the highest quality of life for the best price. High quality, low price, not necessarily the cheapest. And that's one of the reasons that I've really enjoyed my time in Southeast Asia. In Thailand, there's a really good infrastructure for high quality, lower prices. Same for Eastern Europe, and currently where I'm at in Prague, it is a little bit higher for some people, but in general, it's still a very high quality for a decent price. And so if you're earning in US dollars or US salaries, living just about anywhere in the world, you're going to do all right. Around 90% of the population earns on average under $2,000 per month. So if you're making above that, you really can have a pretty good life overseas. It's really going to vary, and there's some big major cities that it's going to be a little bit hard to live there unless you have roommates or you find a really good deal on your rent. And so the reason that geo arbitrage is so important is because it can save you 10, 20, 30 years of retiring early. It can increase your quality of life and decrease your costs. So imagine going from a big city in the US, you keep that salary, but you just move overseas where it's 50% cheaper. Think about how much better your life would get if that quality of life maintains. You're able to save more, you're able to invest more, you're able to have more free time to kind of do what you want. And you can eventually retire earlier because you're able to put a bigger portion of that towards your retirement, towards other investments that are going to help you retire. There's also the opportunity of living abroad for tax savings, depending on your country, depending on where you're from, what sort of work structure you have. If you're from the US, definitely look into foreign earned income exclusion. This is something that allows you to live overseas for 330 days out of the year, and basically you are tax exempt for your income up to about $140,000 per year. Not financial advice, but again, that can save you $20, $30, $40,000 a year just by living overseas if you do it correctly. Talk to your CPA, talk to a tax professional. This is another great reason that can help you justify that trip or moving abroad potentially. If you guys like that part, you're going to love this. I'm giving away my best-selling book for absolutely free, and here's how you can get the audiobook in just a few seconds. Inside this book is the same techniques I've used to work abroad in paradise in more than 100 different countries. And the best part, this strategy hasn't just worked for me, it's helped hundreds of thousands of people earn more, work less, and travel the world. I'll leave a QR code here where you can get the audiobook for free with a free 30-day Audible subscription. Next up is the M in Nomad, which stands for mobility. This is going to be something that is very important, and especially if you're looking to build a hub, a community, a life abroad, is how easy is it to actually spend and live overseas? Now, I was just living in Thailand for 2 years, and now I've been living in the Czech Republic, and the visa processes are pretty much night and day difference. Thailand essentially came out with a new DTV visa, which is Destination Thailand, and that allows you to stay there for 5 years. We were able to apply online, and it was approved in about 2 weeks. It doesn't get simpler than that. For context, for comparing that to the process in the Czech Republic, it's likely going to take 3 to 6 months from when we started looking into this before we get any visas. Again, there's still options for freelancing, businesses. If you're a digital nomad, there's still a lot of options to live in Europe. It's just the bureaucracy and the process is a little bit more complicated than other countries that have this really easy, fast-paced online system. So again, the optionality for actually staying long-term is something you need to consider. And you also need to consider is this going to be a path that allows me to stay there permanently if you want to stay there after 5 to 10 years? There's some visas that after 7 years, you basically have to leave. So you really need to figure out, is this going to be a long-term option? And are you going to build that equity in that country that's going to be the best fit for your future? Next up is the A, which is amenities and safety. So after living in a lot of places abroad, over 100 countries, this is something that's really important to consider. Because if you go to some place as a tourist, you stay in the safest place, you're only there a week, well, that's not really going to run into too many issues. But imagine if you're there 52 weeks out of the year, your likelihood of running into something goes up exponentially. And so this is something that is very important. And one of the reasons that I personally didn't love living in South America was the safety aspect. You kind of have to reshift your life. You don't really walk alone at night. I essentially had friends who had been robbed at gunpoint literally multiple times. And so in general, when you can live anywhere, this becomes a real problem. If you can live anywhere in the world, why would you want to live in a place that's not safer? Anything can happen. You still have to be smart. and all these things. But in general, Southeast Asia and Europe tend to be fairly safe, but it's really going to vary for each situation. And so, looking at the amenities aspect, you also got to look at what are the actual places that you can live, work, travel. Is there good infrastructure? And this goes back to, again, you don't want just the cheapest place, you want the highest quality, you want the good amenities, you want something that's a little bit more haven for you to go in and set up that infrastructure. Now, it can be great to go visit some of these really cheap places if you're just traveling and it's really crazy to see, but in general, if you're living there, 6 months out of the year, it might not be the best fit to set up your hub. If the internet's going out, the electricity's going out, the water's shut off, it really gets annoying after a while. And long term, you don't really want to be in a place like that where there's so much instability that it really impacts your day to day life. Last but not least is the D, and this is the desirable climate. A lot of people don't consider this, but again, when you're living somewhere long term, you need to understand, are you going to like the weather? And going from a tropical island in Thailand to Czech Republic is something that we really had to consider, where these other things on the list just in general become a little bit higher. And I'm from Missouri. I'm from Wildwood, Missouri, and St. Louis. The climates are 4 seasons. I essentially like the season changes, or at least 3 out of the 4 seasons. So in general, the good thing about this lifestyle is you can stay there for 6 to 9 months. Once it gets cold, you can go somewhere warmer, you can chase the sun, and you can reduce the wintertime, which can get a little bit chillier. Now, I hope this gives you a better idea of where you want to go in the world. There's a lot of good options, but it's like financial advice. It really depends on where you're at in your life, how much money you're making, what are your goals, what are your plans, what you like, what you dislike. And I'm hoping that this framework can give you a better idea on where you want to go. And if you are looking about taking that leap to living overseas, I highly suggest talking to people who've actually lived in those cities as an expat. They'll be able to give you so much better advice than what you read online, what you read in the news. They'll be able to give you that firsthand experience that is so important from living abroad. So if you like this video, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a comment below on where you want to live abroad. And again, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. If you enjoyed this, I'll leave another video up here and selected for you. And if it's your first time to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe.